This is Sean Melia, and he's what's known as an ethical hacker. He helps companies tighten up their cybersecurity, and he knows a lot about hacking.
Don't sue me, Microsoft.
Today he's going to be breaking down the hacking mechanics of some of our favorite games to tell us how realistic or unrealistic they really are.
Whoever designed the system probably needs to be fired.
Let us know in the comments below if there are any other games you want Sean to break down, and make sure to subscribe for more videos like this, and check out our other reaction videos in the description of this video. So without further ado, take it away, Sean.
That's a big jump. Breach protocol code matrix sequence required to upload. Okay, you just have to match a few characters to hack. I guess we'll pause really quick. That looks fun. I mean, it looks technical since you're like looking at little characters and stuff and putting them in a sequence, but I don't think that equated to anything. Breach protocol sounds cool. I like that. I wish we used that like in our daily thing. Like I might start just throwing it around there and see if it sticks, you know. But I've never used the phrase breach protocol ever until right now. It's cool to like show in the aspect that you got to like solve a quick little puzzle to get in and stuff like that. I'm not sure about all the context with it, but protocol is basically like a way for devices to communicate between each other. So you have to like know the correct language to speak to these different protocols. So if everything uses the same one, then it's a lot easier. But if you have different devices using different ones, then it can get kind of more hairy, and then you have to do more research. If a hacker has enough time, they're going to find their way in. If they have enough resources, they're going to find their way in. If this is my understanding, the breach protocol thing, if that's what everyone uses for all their enhancements and stuff like that, then you might be able to come up with like, I broke the you know, the handshake or whatever, and I can like connect to anything or something like that. You would think the manufacturer or like whoever owns this protocol or device would like come up with like a fix pretty quickly if they realize that this was broken. But I mean, then you have to also update all these devices that are in people's bodies. Like if it's in their eyes or wherever, then you got to like force an update to all that. So I don't know, it becomes a huge thing. Like if you're putting something in your body that needs to be updated, that just scares me. It's got a buffer. I guess they're trying to make it so like you overflow the buffer, but you're not, I don't know. Let's say like that breach protocol, like login thing, where he's trying to hack into it is more or less like an admin interface. You can sometimes like send payloads to different fields that would bypass authentication, sending it something that it can't really process correctly. And that's what a lot of hacking is, honestly, is like you play around with something, you get familiar with it, and then you say like, oh, I want to see if I can get it to do X, Y, or Z. And then you kind of like play around with different functionality until you can kind of get there. You would think like if this kept happening to people, like that their eyes kept getting short circuited, you would think that they would like take that out or figure out a way to patch it or, you know, prevent this from happening. You would think people would like be having an uprising if somebody could like blow up their eyeball or something like that, or turn it off or something. But that's just my take. I'm assuming he's using his phone to hack these cars. I don't know what year this takes place in, but the fact that all these cars are connected to the internet or have some type of self-driving software that you can hack or something like that, the fact that they're all probably using different technology, having one device that could make all these cars go forward and crash and do stuff like that, unlikely. I think you'd be safe from somebody doing that. I mean, this is some nice tech, I'm not gonna lie. We can hit pause there. It doesn't really show you what this bot did, but in a lot of terms, if you get physical access to a device, it's kind of game over in a lot of sense. If you do get access to something, likelihood of you being able to break it and hack it and stuff like that is very high. If it was a device that they had developed an exploit for, then that totally could happen. But if this can happen throughout the game to any device that comes up, then I would say that's a little more unlikely. I guess he downloaded that access key. He's downloading data from these cameras. I would say the likelihood that these cameras can do all this stuff is unlikely. I don't know what these cameras have in them, but it's not typical for a security camera to do that. They really take a lot of liberty with the hacking in this game. I will say another thing with like security cameras, a lot of times you'll see like companies that have like cameras exposed to the internet deployed with default credentials of admin, like username admin, password admin, username admin, password 12345, something like that. So in a lot of cases, people don't change these credentials. So what could happen here is like when the little robot got access to the physical device, it might have been able just to log in with like default credentials. The likelihood that the cameras that connected to the security system are able to interact with other devices like a smart tablet and download information back to the camera and then back to the hacker, very, very unlikely. I don't want to say anything's impossible, because when it comes to hackers, when you say something's impossible or they can't do it, they always find a way to do it. I wouldn't be able to do that. I don't know anyone that would be able to do that, but there might be somebody out there, who knows. Yeah, I mean, this is like docs on steroids. If you've ever heard of like doxing someone, where you get all their information and you compile it and stuff like that. Yeah, this is a lot of information to get, like, and all their associates' information as well. If you're able to find this information out about anyone with their phones or anything like that, all hell would break loose. I feel like to figure out all this information, they would have to have some exploit that worked on every phone, unless there's some phones that you can't get into, like secure phones or something like that. But I feel like Tim Cook would like to know about this, or somebody. I'm gonna go with not likely.
Got it.
Wait, is this him cracking the password, or is this just the screen? Oh.
There we go.
Okay. All right, I guess we'll just pause it really quick. So on here, it looks like it's like doing like a hex dump, but I don't know any system that would ever on a login page start dumping out the password in like little chunks or whatever on the screen for you to figure out. But real password cracking, you get access to like the hashes that are stored like in a database or on the computer or system, and then pulling them off, and then either through brute force or through like a password list or different permutations, and doing different things like adding exclamation points to common words or whatever it is, looking at previous breaches from like, let's say like MySpace or LinkedIn, and figure out like some password that somebody used for some other website, and then rehashing that and then checking to see if like that hash matches up, and then you'd be able to like guess the password. I've never seen a system that on the login page starts giving you the password for you to choose. That just seems to defeat the purpose of requiring a password. Whoever designed the system probably needs to be fired. But hack security bots are friendly and will attack your enemies. Okay, this just seems like a fun game. Rerouting some liquid, I guess, would hack the bot to make it friendly. I don't know. If you got access to the bot and rerouting some cables or some pipes in this case, change something, make it friendly and make it yours, then that might work. I guess I would have to get my hands on it to see what was going on. Doesn't seem too difficult. I guess it gets more difficult the bigger the puzzle. Yeah, this isn't the typical hacking that you'd see. This is more like plumbing. I don't know. It looked like a fun game. I don't know. It looked like a little children's game or something. I'm assuming this map right here is like pivoting around through some proxies to get somewhere or something like that. I just want to pause it on one of these little pop-ups that pops up. Okay, so I'm just freezing it really quick to look at the IP address on here. These are not like correct IP addresses. Like the max amount you can have in one of those octets is 255. They have a 400.65.983. This is like kind of classic games or television IP addresses. But I guess they also don't want to provide an address to something that could actually be like an IP address out there in the world, and then some people start poking at it and it's really like some government IP address or something like that. Password breaker. I mean, the fact that the username is admin is very, very likely. I'm just gonna hit pause really quick. I mean, it's not showing any of the actual hacking, it's showing like the password breaking, but the fact that the username was admin, 9 times out of 10, it is going to be admin. The way they're able to pull the password out, you could do that with like a time-based SQL injection where it kind of like determines the next character like in a string for you. They're not showing any of that technical stuff, but that could be happening in the background, and you can actually use tools or scripts that can automate all that for you. As of right now, this is probably the closest to real hacking that out of any of the clips that we've seen where it's the most believable to me. Okay, got a terminal open. Of course, you got to use Telnet. You can't use SSH, man. Oh, so do you actually like type this in as you're doing it? This is kind of cool. That terminal is what you like if you come across something that's like connected, that's like deals with like cameras, and that has like some type of like Telnet access or SSH or whatever it is. The interface is kind of funky like that. It's like a lockdown shell where it lets you put in certain commands. Something similar that you could come across like doing like a pen tester hacking something. I mean, this isn't super like hacking. Once you get access to a system and you're logged in and you're able to like send commands to something, you're already in.
Not done.
Is this like a weird sauna prison thing or something? Oh, I'm gonna hit pause right here to see what's on the screen. So it's aimbot version 2.9 beta. So all the versions before that, like 2.8, were just, they were not good, you know, so I had to make sure we got the 2.9 beta. They're showing something like some pseudo terminal output that you'd see like if you typed in like IWLAN or ifconfig or something like that. I love how he has the post-it notes. They clearly have this like app installed right for an aimbot and stuff like that, but they needed the post-it notes to tell them how to go up and down. Whenever you see post-it notes like at someone's desk, I'm always like, please don't be a password. Please don't be a password on there, like something like that. But in a lot of cases, like people will do that because they don't want to forget their password and have to call IT and then do all that stuff. Can I just pause really quick just to look at what's on the screen here? Sorry, I was trying to take everything in and then I realized that there's a lot on the screen to read. This is like great. I've never heard of this game, but it's cool. Say you're given an IP address that you're supposed to hack into or find some vulnerabilities or do whatever. I guess in this case, the objective is to hack into this IP address and delete some files and stuff like that. If you're just trying to quickly get in and find stuff out, then you kick off some port scans. 80, 25, 21, and 22 are pretty common ports. But if you're only scanning those, you're probably going to miss out on some other services or something running on a non-standard port. But I mean, this is a pretty common step as far as like pen testing or hacking goes, is running a type of port scan. You want to see what's out there. Like what am I hacking exactly? Is it just like an SSH server that I have to like either brute force a password or find some password to reuse or find an exploit for, or is it an HTTP server? Like, are they running a web application that can have vulnerabilities in it? Same with all these other services like FTP or SMTP. You're going to run into the same thing. Like, am I looking for credential reuse or weak credentials, or am I going to run some type of exploit? I guess we're getting hacked back. Oh no, blue screen. I love how it's a Linux system, but then they give you the blue screen of death, which is Windows. I think they just do that to like make you like be like, oh no, it's crashed. Like, because everyone thinks blue screen is synonymous with crash. I mean, that interface and everything like that, typing in commands into a terminal and doing things in port scanning, those are all pretty common things that you do. The only thing that kind of is funky is the cracking all the services very quickly. There's no version detection. They don't even know what's running. They just ran a program that was able to kind of break the service and basically hack it. So the fact that there wasn't any like version detection to determine what they're running, to find an exploit that works for that, that is something that doesn't add up, because a lot of cases to exploit like a protocol, let's say it's like SSH, I don't even know how many different versions or different companies that make a different type of like SSH login. You need to have a very specific exploit for each one, typically, especially on later versions. So the fact that it just worked out of the box without having to like do any type of configuration or anything else is not believable. And if something does come out like that you can just hack into like any SSH server, it's going to be bad news for a lot of companies. Thanks so much for watching. I've enjoyed watching these hacking clips in the games. I hope to see you all again soon. If you have any games that involve hacking that you'd like reviewed, please feel free to drop them in the comments below.